And what's happening is there's all of this messaging flooding us, but we don't know the truth behind anyone's life.
Hi, my name's Devin. Today I own several multi-million-dollar companies. We started with $5,000 in a credit card. I don't know the easy way. I only know the hard way.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Whiteboard Entrepreneur Podcast, where I give straightforward advice to fuel the entrepreneur in all of us. I'm Devin Dickinson, and today I want to talk to you about who do you actually allow to speak into your life, and who are you listening to? Because the world has changed a ton, right? Right now, you're actually listening online at one of the podcasts or on YouTube or through Instagram, Facebook, whatever, right? The world has changed because 20 some years ago, the people that you were listening to were basically, and the only people that you knew were the people that you knew, right? That you had personal relationships with and that you could actually see their real life. And today, right now, is totally different because anyone can speak into your life. Right now, you might not know me personally. You might be listening to me and not know me personally. Probably a lot of people right now have never met me and are just listening to this online. And you don't know the backstory of my life. You don't know the behind the scenes and the real fruit of my life. And what I'm going to challenge you to do is to begin to have a discerning filter and to begin to have wisdom as to who and how you allow folks to speak into your life. And I think that there are two types of people in this world. The one type of person is this CEO that I hired at one of my companies that I should have never hired. And the reason I should have never hired him is, I had a lot of doubts about him. He had a really great resume. He presented himself very well, very confident. He had a great experience. But there was just something that bugged me about him. And so we went to have lunch. And one of my questions at lunch was, hey, what type of business books do you read, or who are your mentors or whatever? And he's just like, oh, I don't do that. And I was like, really blown away. And it was like, it wasn't that he didn't say like, oh, I don't enjoy reading, or I don't have time for that. Not even an excuse or anything. His answer was that basically I know everything and therefore I don't need anybody to tell me what to do. I should have probably picked up on this and not hired the guy. Unfortunately we did. And he was an absolute disaster, right? He allowed nobody to speak into his life. He didn't allow the board to speak into his life. He didn't allow me, any people that were underneath him, absolutely didn't, he had no, mentors or peers or anything. He literally was just so arrogant that he thought that he knew everything and therefore received nothing. And so you have a lot of people like that, and you might be somebody like that right now. And let me encourage you right now, if you're prideful, if you don't have people that speak into your life, if you haven't had times in your company or in your relationships and your families where you're like, wow, thank you so much for that. I guess I'm wrong and changed. If you don't have that, you're one of these people, right? There's your key, right? But then the rest of us, I think, are probably way too open in receiving messages, right? Because you're on your phone, you're watching, something online, you get emails, you get all of these different things and all of these different messages coming at us 24/7. And especially the generation that's younger than me right now, a lot of the 20 somethings, the people who are in college or just graduating college, we're getting all of these messages about what your life should look like, about business, about how do you invest, about how you spend your time, about how you make money, about how you do all of these different things to pursue your dreams. And what's happening is there's all of this messaging flooding us, but we don't know the truth behind anyone's life. And I like to explain it like this. If you've been married for 5 or 6 years and you're going through some tough times, what you do not want to do is you don't want to go out to the bar, have a beer with your buddy who's been divorced 3 times already and get marriage advice from that person, right? What you want to do is you want to find someone who's older than you, who's been married for 20 some years, whose wife is still married to their first wife, right? And that the kids still like this person, but they've been through some challenges. They've been through some hard times and they have made it. If you want your marriage to succeed, you want to model and you want to listen to that person who's been through the fire. You want to talk to that person who says, hey man, I know it's tough, but you're going to have to change. Your wife is going to have to change. Here's what you're going to have to do. Here's all of the struggles you're going to have, but by golly, it's worth it and you can do it. You want to talk to that person, not the person who's been divorced 3 times and tells you how to throw in the towel and how everything's wrong with, your spouse and all of these different things and how you're amazing and there's other fish in the sea and blah, blah, blah. Like, you don't want to talk to that person. You want to talk to the person who's made it, who's been through the tough times and made it. And right now, if you're listening to this, you're an entrepreneur, you're someone who's pursuing your dreams, you're someone who's out there struggling and grinding every day. And what I want you to understand is there's a lot of good messages out there, but there's also a lot of good messages that will discourage you because you don't know the true fruit behind that person's life. You don't know the true story behind the message that they're sending. Like, I laugh all the time right now because on social media, there's people giving relationship advice that are 26 years old, don't have any kids and aren't married. Like, that's hilarious to me. But at the same time, we go, yeah, Devin, that makes sense. We shouldn't listen to that. But at the same time, you're listening to someone who's 26 years old talking about how they made $10,000 day trading in 20 minutes every day. Is that possible? Yes. I've told you 100 times that kind of stuff is possible, but you don't know that person. You don't know the true story of what's going on behind the scenes. You don't know how they got there. You don't know if they're going to lose $40,000 tomorrow. You don't know how much they've leveraged. You don't know anything. You don't know the fruit of their life, but you're trying to compare your life against this. And so right now, I get messages all the time from people, from college students and people in their early 20s saying, hey, D, I'm thinking about dropping out of school and starting a business. What do you think about that, Devin? How do you feel about college? Do you use any of your college that, does it matter to you? And I tell them all the time, and this is important. I want you to listen very closely. I say all the time, today, at 50 some years old, there's really nothing that I learned in college that applies to my business today. And so they go, great, I can drop out of school. I'm like, no, hold on. Listen, but I would not be the person that I am today if I didn't stick it out and get that degree. But what people want to hear is, oh, Devin said college doesn't matter. That's not what I said. What I said is I stuck it out, and I'm so glad that I did. Because guess what? While I was in college, while I was in school, I started a business. And guess what? That business failed. But what a great time to start a business when you're in college, right? Like, you can only fall so far, right? Like, so I used that time to start something and it failed. And I also used that time to learn that, hey, I didn't know enough about who I was and I didn't have enough discipline. I didn't know enough about business to build a successful empire that I wanted to build. And so I had the humility to go, you know what? I don't know enough. And so guess what? I'm going to go and I'm going to use this degree that I got because I stuck it out. I got that degree and I used that degree to get a job. And that job during those 4 or 5 years I was working in corporate America, I learned about business and I grew and I used that degree to actually put food on the table, to help my wife go through grad school at the time. And I used that degree so that by the time I was ready to start something, I was further along in my life. And guess what? That helped me get to where I am today. Do I apply anything that I learned in college? Absolutely not. Am I the person that I am today because I went to college? Absolutely. And so the people that are saying like, you don't need a college degree for this and you should drop out of school for that and you can go and flip NFTs and you can go start a business doing this, that, and the other. I'd say, yeah, all of that's true. Do it right now though. Do it right now. Prove it, right? While you're in college, go and do that and prove it. Start something. You don't have to drop out of college to try to day trade. You don't have to drop out of college to start a business. Do it alongside college, right? But we're allowing all of these messages to come flooding into our lives and basically feeding us lies because some kid is walking up to somebody else going, hey, I see you drive a Lambo. What do you do for a living? And, some 30-year-old says, oh, well, I'm in real estate. estate. Okay, well, maybe the truth is your daddy was in real estate and your daddy helped get you started in real estate. And maybe now 10, 15 years later, yeah, you are doing good in real estate. But how did you get there? And here's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that you can't make it in real estate. You can, but we have to understand the messages that are being flooded at us all the time and understand the truth behind what people are saying, the fruit of their lives, and making sure that you dig down. And if you want a mentor, if you want someone to speak in your life, go and find your uncle, your neighbor, your coach, the people who have done it and who've ground it out and who've been very successful in business, and ask them how they've done it and tell them, hey, tell me all the hard work and the dirty, gritty stuff, because nobody on social media, aside from maybe me, is sitting here telling you you're going to have to bust your freaking butt, because that's the truth of it. The truth of this is that nothing comes easy. The truth of this is that if you're driving a Lamborghini at 30 years old and because you're in real estate, you have busted your butt. The truth of it is that the people who are out there, putting together and putting themselves in front of, private jets and wearing Rolexes and doing all of this stuff, like, they're marketing to you and they want you to buy their message. Is their message wrong? Not all of it. Some of it's true. But you have to analyze the fruit, the stuff behind the scene, the real fruit of their lives. Don't allow people to speak into your life. Don't receive that. Don't compare yourself against it unless you know the absolute truth of their life. Now, if you find out and you get to know that person, you're like, wow, this is the real story. Learn from that. Right? Like, this is what I tell people all the time. Like, listen, I don't want to talk to you about today. I don't want to tell you about my life today at 51 years old, right? Because this is more towards the finish line, right? Like, this is the fruit of the labor, right? If I want to talk to you because people want to talk to me, they said, Devin, tell me how to do what you did. And really what they want to know is, how can I have that house? How can I drive that car? How can I do all these different things, right? Like, anyways, people want to know this. And what I tell them is, like, you have to understand what it takes to get there. You have to understand what my family poured out, what my wife did, the sacrifices that I made, the sacrifices my kids made, the hard work, everything that we poured out, because I want you to understand the behind the scenes. I want you to understand, what it takes to be married for 26 years. I want you to understand what it takes to run a company for 20 some years. I want you to know what it takes to take something from nothing to something, right? I don't want to just talk about what's over here, because you'll get discouraged if we talk about what's over here. But if we talk about the reality of life, the behind the scenes, the gritty, the grinding, the hard work of what it takes to get there, you're now going to actually learn something that you can apply to your life. You can't apply jack crap to your life knowing that someone's in real estate and they drive a Lamborghini. All that's going to do is discourage you and set unrealistic expectations. You're going to want to drop out of college and get into real estate. What I'm encouraging you to do today is to look around, understand what your goals are, not what other people's goals are. What are your goals? What do you have inside of you that you really want to do? What is that dream that you have? Not what someone else is glamorizing. What do you want to do? And then find people that have done that, and you can actually prove that they've done it, right? And the hard work, and learn from those people, not their highlight film. Learn the hard way, what they've had to go through to get there, and then have the courage to go and grind it out, because that is how you're going to succeed. That is how you'll actually learn. So we need to have people that speak into our life, but those people have got to be real. They have got to be transparent, and you've got to be able to learn from what they've done over the years. The reason I do this podcast, the reason I built this course and all of this, is so that I could be transparent with you, so that you could understand, like, listen, like, everything is possible. Like, I am going to be your biggest freaking cheerleader ever, right? Like, I want you to go and I want you to pursue your dreams. I want you to do way more than I've ever accomplished. I want you to just live the most full, rich life. I want everything that God's ever put into your heart. I want you to succeed. But the reason why I do this podcast and the reason why I made this course is so that I could be transparent with you and I could tell you what it's taken in my life to get to where I am today. All of the struggles, all of the challenges, all of the fun, right? Like challenges are fun. They're glorious. They're victories, they're successes, they're failures. I share all of this in these podcasts. I share in the course that we're launching. And I want you to have someone that you can trust that's going to give it to you straight, tell you the hard way, because it's the only way that I know how, but give it to you straight. And that's why we're doing this, right? So that I could be transparent with you, so that you could see the fruit of my life and that you could listen and say, hey, you know what? I respect Devin. I like what he's done. Or, you know what? Actually, I'm listening to somebody else. That's fine too. But I want to offer up my life as an example of someone who's done it the hard way. I don't know the easy way. I don't have shortcuts, but I will tell you what it's taken in my life to succeed. I'm Devin, and this is a Whiteboard Entrepreneur Podcast. If you apply this, you do things the hard way, I know it's going to help.